Hello everybody, welcome to Middle Game series. Hello Joe, hello Tom Catalan. So as you suggested, today we will be starting a series on middle games. So we will also continue with endgames, but now we will be starting with middle games. And to begin with, I have selected my favorite book of all time, and it is Creative Chess. So it shows us different positions with very original ideas and very beautiful games. Hello Rishabh, hello MedX, hello FB. Hi Leo. So let's begin with first position. Hello Sequiko. Great games for Jabava team yesterday. Thank you so much. It was a fun night yesterday with sub battle. Okay, so first position, King H1. So these are very beautiful games and beautiful ideas. So let's talk about some beauty and creativity in chess. I guess we all need a big break from endgames. Bishop d5 and pawns on a2, e4, g2, h2, and black pawns on d6, f7, g7, and h7. I'm currently reading Your Opponent is Overrated. It's a really good book. I have never heard of this book, but sounds very interesting if it has such a title. So we are going to begin this series with a game of Fischer, of course, one of the creative players. And in this game, Fischer is white. Fischer versus Sherwin, played in USA 1957. And they have given here explanation of the creative process when we are looking at such positions. So material is equal. In order to demonstrate how creative thinking in chess works, in practice, we will now try to describe the white player train of thought in this position. It's more about psychology, I see. Hello, James Splendor. How are you doing? We had a great time with you yesterday on your stream. And you should definitely make such streams more often. We would love that. Okay, so here in the preparation stage, White gathers all the possible information. He examines the position of the pieces, makes a mental note of the weak and strong points for both sides, and makes short-term and long-term plans. For example, short-term plan is like there is something going on f7, and long-term this a pawn can become quite aggressive in the endgame. So this is a passed pawn for white. So now white examines several lines in a careful way. Let's assume the moves bishop f7 or rook f7. James Plunder, don't consider it. Make it happen. Make it happen. Yes, so first we think about moves like bishop f7 or rook f7. Hello, Sandeep. So if we play bishop f7, for example, here, first move, black cannot take this bishop because rook a8 will be back rank mate. So black cannot take it, so he will play king h8. And the bishop cannot move. And white achieves not much after this, because if he moves the bishop back anywhere, black can threaten rook c1, and this is quite dangerous for white. So if we want to keep the attack going, this is not the right way to begin with. What about rook f7 first move? Okay, James Splendor, see you. Have a great day. What about rook f7? If we play rook f7, again he cannot take because there is rook a8 check. But now we have to see that black can play rook c1. And if we give this check, you see this check, black can just play king h8. And how to continue with white? Black is attacking these rooks. Attacking the rook on f1 with these rooks. And again, it's not easy. So these are our first ideas that we look for in this position. Any more ideas for white? We should examine e5. e5, so what is the idea with e5? If I just take it, let's say, with the pawn. Oh, you're attacking my knight. I see what you did there. So I will have to take with the knight. Rook a8. Okay, rook a8 trying to move this rook away so that we're attacking f7. But I will take it. I will take this rook. I have subscribed to your YouTube channel, but when you post new videos, I'm not getting notification. I don't know. Let's see next time. So after this, I will post this video today, and you can check if it works. So now here they say finally enlightenment occurs. When we look at all these ideas, finally we see that there is one idea that we can consider, and that is, what about rook capture f7, rook c1 and queen f1. So this move, he cannot take it, he gives this check, and instead of rook f1, what about queen f1? Brilliant move by Fischer. And they have given this many exclamation marks, and one of the best combinations by Fischer. And now if black takes this queen, if they play rook capture f1 with a check, you see this is a check for black, so black cannot take this rook. And if he moves king h8, there is rook f8 checkmate. And if he takes the bishop like this, first we take the rook and then we take the queen, and we have extra material for white. The queen f1 double exclamation mark. And in the game, black saw this and played h5, trying to keep the complications on the board. And again there is a good move for white, which black missed. So they say here, if we play this move, if we just take the rook, black plays king h7, and again it's not clear because the queen is pinned, and It's not clear for white. So the move here for white is to play queen captures c1. Again, a brilliant move by white. And after queen c1, he plays rook f1 check. Look at this beauty of chess. Rook f1 with this check, and white gets the queen, and white won this game. Yes, that's an amazing line. Who is this big black player? He keeps missing most. So this is a game between Fischer and Sherwin. Of course, they are not weak players, but it's just the beauty of chess. And Fischer is very strong. Alright, next one. King e1, queen d1, rook e5, bishop on c1, and b3, knight on b1, and pawns b2, c3, d2, f2, g3, h2, black king g8, queen d3, rook f8, bishop e7 and bishop a8, knight h3, pawns b5, c7, f7, g7, h7, and this is black to play. So today we are talking about creativity in chess and many original ideas in these games. So they have written here, in principle, the placing of pieces on the edges of the board is not recommended since such positioning reduces their effectiveness. The knight placed on a1, so for example, knight is on a1, can only move to 2 squares. It can only move to 2 squares. But if the knight is placed in the center, it can move to 8 squares. Yes. In a similar way, if the bishop is placed on a2, it can move to 7 squares, while the same bishop in the center square can move to 13 squares. So that is why they always talk about the center. The center is the most important part of the board. But sometimes there are exceptions like this. And this is black to play. And find the idea for black. Bishop f3. Bishop f3. White will play rook e2. White will play rook e2 and try to stop it. This looks like the worst marshal in history. Yes, looks like very bad bad day for white player. Another great series. Which book is this from? The book's name is actually Creative Chess, and this is one of my favorite books on beauty of chess. Knight g1 looks interesting. Knight g1, rook e3. So white will try to sacrifice the pieces so as to just hold the position. This piece is under attack, but for black this piece is also under attack. You have also ordered the book? That's nice. I'm very happy. So there might be many ways for black to win, but there is one way which is very aesthetically pleasing, they say. And in the game, black played first bishop g2. I don't know why nobody suggested this move. Trying to checkmate on f1. So this is the threat, queen f1 mate. And white has only two ways to stop it, that is to play rook e2 or queen e2. So if queen e2, black just takes this piece and is having extra material. Now this is under attack. And in the game, white played rook e2 and black had this very beautiful move, knight g1. And the idea is not to attack this rook, but to mate here on f3. White tried to play f4, trying to run away from f2. And black just played bishop c5, and white resigns, because next is this knight f3 mate. Why so serious rating with a party of 59? Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you once again for the raid, and welcome raiders. Welcome everybody to our middle game series. And here white resigns. Okay, next one. Next one is a famous position. Maybe some of you might have seen it. So now king is on g1, queen a4, rooks e1, rook a1, bishop b5, pawns a3, b2, c3, d5, f2, h2, king d8, queen f3, rook a8, rook h8, bishop g7, and pawns on a7, b7, c5, d6, f7, g6, and h6. Hello everybody! Nice to have you all here. This book is actually called as Creative Chess. White to play. White is a pawn down, right? Pawn down, but the king's position is very bad. Bishop e8 with the idea queen d7 mate. That's interesting. So for bishop e8, I will have to play queen f5. Hello, Brian. Rook e8, if you start with rook e8, black will just take an exchange. Welcome, everybody. Yes, Tom Catlin, you are right. You are right. So look at this line, bishop e8. Now the threat is to play queen d7 mate. Of course, he can't give this check because this is controlled. So he has to play queen f5. And after rook e6, black resigns because we are just stopping this. And this is called as interference in chess. And the rook is interfering here. And the next move will be queen d7 and mate for black. Hello, Bone Attack. And thank you for following. Okay, next is an analysis of one game position. King G1, Queen D1, Rook F1, Rook A1, Knight B3, C3, Bishop G5, Bishop E2, pawns on A2, B2, C2, E4, F2, G2, H2, Black King E8, Queen B6, Rook A8, H8. So this is just out of opening. Bishop F8, Bishop B7, and pawns on A6, B4, D7, E6, F7, G7, and H7. Hello Bone Attack, welcome to our series. But why are my alerts not working? Is the Streamlabs down again? Let me check quickly. So this is white to play, and just give me a minute to check on the alerts on Streamlabs. Yes, the alerts is down right now. So in this particular stream, we will not receive alerts on the screen because looks like Streamlabs is down. Okay, doesn't matter. Hydrate. I just want to say thank you everybody for following and welcome to this middle game series, and today is our first episode. Okay, so this is an analysis of the game actually, not just a tactic. And they say that in diagram, black's last move was b4, of course, to attack this knight. And what is the best square for this knight? So we have only two squares, that is knight a4 and knight b1. We just need to be sure that on knight a4, this knight does not get trapped after queen c6. And this is something we need to calculate here. Otherwise, we have to retreat to b1. Bishop e3 also possible, you are right. Bishop e3 can also be considered. Okay, so let's see what happened in this game. And white decided to go knight a4, double exclamation mark, queen c6, and hope this knight does not get trapped. Knight a5, queen a4, knight b7. Now again this knight looks very suspicious on b7. And black played queen c6. It looks as though white has fallen straight into a trap. But here the move is knight d8, a remarkable position for a white knight at such an early stage of the game. Queen c7, and let's see how white continues this position. Now f6 is the threat. So he plays bishop h5, very aggressive. So we have to stop this moves like f6, or else we are in trouble. Black plays g6, again with the threat of f6. And look at these moves, queen f3, attacking on f7. d6, supporting on f7. Now this bishop is under attack, bishop g4. h6, black is trying to attack all these pieces, but white defends with tactics. Okay, let's few moves, only few moves. This game went on. e5, d5, and finally the sacrifice, bishop e6, f e6, knight e6, and white won after this. So it's surprising that white won this game in just few moves, just in 10-15 moves after that position, where we were thinking whether to play knight a4 or to play knight b1 right over here. So this is unusual positioning of pieces. Okay, so next one, king g1, queen d1, rook e1, a1, bishop c1, bishop c4, knight f4, knight g3, pawns a to b to c2, d4, f2, g2, and h4, black king on e8, queen c7, rook a8, h8, bishop f8, h7, knight f6, d7, and pawns on a7, b7, c6, and like this. Black to play. What was the game? The previous one. Okay, 1 second. This was the previous game. Yes, that's the sort of line you calculate in a game and can't believe it works. Knight e8 was a brilliant move, and also the follow-up was very important with bishop h5 and queen f3. How to improve calculations, Sandeep? I would suggest that work on tactics every day and give some time, let's say 1 hour, 2 hours, and work on tactics, and it will definitely help you to improve your calculations. So this is black to play, and this is a game between Poresa and Bronstein. So black is David Bronstein, and they say here black is faced with serious difficulties. Queenside castling is impossible, so black wants to play castling on the queen side, but the f7 pawn is under attack. And if black plays e6 here, to make that happen, white will just sacrifice on e6, bishop e6, maybe even knight e6, and black is in danger. Even if you play move like knight b6, so if we play knight b6, bishop b3, knight d5, queen f3, they say that does not guarantee black an easy time. Because takes then bishop f4 with a huge attack, and now c4 is the move coming up on the board. So it's not easy for black to play this. g5 looks tempting, but we have to be very careful to play a move like g5. Yes, there are many tactics books, and also you can do it on websites like Lichess or Chess.com, and they have a lot of tactics you can solve there every day. And the idea is that work every day, don't take a break on it. So dedicate yourself some time, doesn't matter, minimum 1 hour, and then do it every day, and I'm sure it will help you in your games. Creative is bishop g8, but probably not in a good way. You are thinking like Bronstein, Tom Catalan, and this is in fact the good move for black, bishop g8, and they have said that this is a brilliant move by David Bronstein. And they write it's an awkward move because the bishop is placed on an inferior position. But just think about it. The bishop is placed here, but next move black will play long castling, and black will be able to solve his problems. Bronstein was successful in gradually unraveling his position and later even went on to win this game. Wow. So this is passive for now, but after he plays long castling, he is okay, and then he can start playing like e6 and followed by bishop d6 and maybe even g5, starting attack on the king side. So this was the move. Well done, Tom. And that's it. That's they call unusual positioning of pieces, and these are exceptions like this. Ugliest move ever. It looks like that, but if you think about it in this position before bishop g8, there is not much black can do. How to make long castling here? If you think about it, it's so difficult to play long castling and take the king out of the center. So if we start thinking about it, bishop g8 comes to mind. Let's ask the computer. Okay. So computer may not suggest it because this is not the most practical way. Yeah, he suggests g5 and he says white is better. But black has practical chances even though white is better. At least better than other moves. Okay, let's not in this series let's not consult engines. King g2, queen e4, knight g3, pawns on b5 c4, e3 f2, g4 h3, black king g7, queen a1, bishop h4, and white to play. Hydrate by Akshay and Bon Attack. So this is a game between Miles and Makarichev. So Miles is white, Tony Miles, very famous player, and he's playing white. And he finds a very interesting idea in this position. How many times have you lost to a scholar mate? That's a funny question. What book are we using here? This book is called as Creative Chess. I can show you. This is one of my favorite books. This. And on the cover it has pictures of art and painting, saying that chess is an art. So today we are talking about creativity and original ideas, not the standard tactics. Nf5 or nh5 here. So let's calculate. If nf5, black will take it. So pawns are equal in this position, and think outside the box. Try to find original ideas in this position. So white wants to start attacking on the queen side, let's say with queen c6 or queen b7. Not every artist is a chess player, but every chess player is artist. You're right. That's a very nice quote. Do you remember who said it, Akshay? Thank you for the compliment, user. And H1 fits the book. You are absolutely right, Camilex. You are right. Wow. So we have here in chat people coming up with original ideas. So the point is that first let's think logically before we go to the move. They say here that white wants to start attacking these pawns with queen c6 or queen b7 and take these pawns, and black cannot stop it. So if we play queen c6, black plays bishop capture g3 and he creates some counterplay on the king side. Because if king g3, then queen g1, and he creates a lot of threats. If pawn takes, then he starts giving checks, and we have to find the best moves to get out of checks. So it's not good for white. If you play move like knight e2 or knight f1, he can play queen b2, and the f2 pawn will be under attack. So after thinking about this, we come up with this very absurd move, and that is knight h1. And they say that this is a brilliant move by white because it defends this f2 pawn, and now white can just relax and go to the queen side, and there is no counterplay on the king side at all. White surprised his opponents with knight h1. Tony Miles played knight h1. So let's see how game continued. Queen b2. They write here, if black tries to defend these pawns, for example with bishop e7. So if he plays bishop e7, white goes for the pawns, and now that there is no threat on f2, he can just play knight g3 and knight e4. And white has advantage. So black plays queen b2. Queen c6 and queen b1, trying to find some checks over here. Queen c7, queen e4. But after king h2, there is no checks actually. You see, the white has created some kind of fortress on the king side. He has created this barrier, these walls. h5, and white simply plays queen c6. And now if exchange, then it is good for white. Queen c2, g capture h5, queen f5, and after c5, white won this game. We need to ask the computer again. No, we will not ask computer. Let's just enjoy these original ideas. And after this, white won this game. Okay, next is king e1, king g8, queen d3, black queen on b6, rooks a1 h1, black rook a8 d8, bishop f4, bishop b1, knight c3, knight e5, pawns a3 b2, d4 e3, f2 g2, and h4, black bishops e7 d7, knight c6 f6, and black pawns h7 g7 f7, e6 d5, b7, and a7. Yes, this is not about finding attack here. It's about finding original ideas. So today we are talking about originality in chess. And you can see the title, we have called it Creative Chess. Doesn't matter if we are attacking or we are defending. It's the unusual ideas that we are trying to celebrate. White to play, and this is game between Lipnitsky and Smyslov, played in 1950 USSR Championship. Yes, we are celebrating beauty in chess today, in this series. Camel X Rook A2 is the strangest move, so Rook A2, you are absolutely right. You are thinking very original today. So Rook A2, and they have given this double exclamation mark. But what is the reason behind Rook A2? And they say, could this be a good move, or is it a weak player playing white? How could he place a rook on square like A2 with a passive protection of a pawn? And why is it good move? So now here, black is attacking on B2. Black is attacking on B2 and white needs to defend it. But white actually wants to play this here. G4, G5, H5, H6. He wants to start attacking on the king side. But it is stopping because black has counter chances on the queen side. So if we play like B4, he can play A5 and we have to defend on the queen side. And we don't get time enough to start attack on the king side. So he played Rook A2 and now black cannot do anything on the queen side. You see, everything is stopped on the queen side. Hello, I'm also from India and also stream chess. Welcome, Matt Kid, and nice to have you here. Hello, Mr. Sabon, welcome. Today we are doing middle game series with our first episode. B4 is alright, but if we play B4, he starts playing A5 and we don't get time to start attack on the king side. We have to continuously think about queen side. Even if we play B5, there is knight A7, bishop B4, and a lot of ideas here. For example, B5, knight A7, even if now we are attacking here. Bishop B4, you see black is creating some counterplay. There is knight A4, knight E4 coming up. And we cannot just relax and attack on king side. But after a move like Rook A2, black can do nothing on the queen side. And we can just start here. Okay, so let's see what happened in this game. Rook A2 was played But you see, these are not just odd moves, they have logical explanation, and that's why they are good moves. Not because they are just out of the box. They have logic for them. Yes, they actually played it in USSR Championship in 1950, and Smyslow is playing black. And now, suddenly, black is under trouble because how to defend with this upcoming attack on the king side? G4, G5, and already black is feeling the heat on the king side. So in the game, black played king f8. And the game in fact did not last very long. G4, knight e5, d e5. Now this is not even worth looking at. Queen h7 is quite decisive. So he tried knight e4 and just f3. Knight captures c3. And now white did not take the knight. He just played queen h7 with the idea queen h8 mate. King e8 trying to save with bishop f8. bc3. And after king f2, they say white's material and positional advantage are decisive, and white won soon, very soon. Okay, next one. Next is also a famous game. This is a game by Karpov. So Anatoly Karpov is playing white and black is Unziker, played in the Olympiad of 1974. b4 c3, d5, e4, f2, g2, h3, black king g8, queen d8, rook a8 c8. Oh no, rook a8 c8. Hello Peter, did I miss my own puzzle? No. Right now we are doing middle game series. I will definitely show it in the stream for endgame series. So today I decided to start this new series with some original ideas in middle games. Okay, let me check quickly. This is game between Karpov and Ziker and white to play. Hydrate by Guest Warrior. So famous. So I think a few people have seen this already in the chat, this example. Okay, those of you who know this, don't say it. Hello Guest Warrior, welcome to our stream. Yes, this is a very famous and instructive example. So now the problem is that the fight is on the A file. All the other files are blocked. So the fight is on this A file, and white does not have time to bring this other rook to A1 because the bishop is blocking this. And if you capture it, then black gets control of the A file. And in this particular position, this is a closed position, the fight on A file will decide the advantage for either white or black. Is it bishop A7? Yes, yes, yes. Bishop A7. So now we have to keep this fight on the A file. If we give up this fight, let's say with capture, black instantly gets it. And even if we don't capture it, if we play anything else, black will capture and then follow with rook A8. So we have to stop black from getting this file, and for that we have to play bishop A7. Excellent move by Karpov. This block on the A file prevents exchange of rooks. And now slowly white will double on the A file. So in the game was played knight E8, bishop C2. You see white is preparing to double here. Hello Lucky Fritter, nice to see you here. And now bishop C2. And okay, let's go through the game. Knight C7, rook A1. And just with this move, you see how white is gaining control on the A file. Queen E7, and black can't do much. Bishop B1. White is maneuvering his pieces. Knight D8, knight H2. All the fight on the A file is stopped, and white is just making a best squares for his pieces. Knight H2, bishop G7, F4, F6, F5, G5, knight G3. Hello Daksh, I have a question. Ask us. Hello Pap. Okay, so white has gained a decisive advantage, and over the following moves he will concentrate his force on the king side, knowing full well that if he needs, he can always come back and apply pressure on the queen side. And after some moves, white was able to get a big advantage and convert this into victory. So the idea of this position is that this was the critical point, and if white had given up the fight of A file, black would have kept the advantage. So this move was very important for white. Okay, next is a brilliant position. Next is very brilliant position. Hello Pap, and thank you for the raiding with a party of 25. Thank you so much, and welcome raiders. Posture check by Absurd Clown, and hope you're having a good day. Thank you for following. King G1, Queen E4, Rook E1, Rook B1, Bishop D3, F4, Knight E5, C4, D4, C3, A2, F2, G3, H4, King G8, Queen F5, Rook E8, Rook C8, Knight A5, Bishop A4, Bishop F8, This is a very beautiful position. White to play. Thank you for following, guys. And I'm sorry that today Streamlabs is down and I don't receive the alerts on the screen. But I see here now. Thank you for the raid, PUBG, and thank you everybody for following. And again, today we are starting a middle game series and we are looking at some original chess position and chess ideas. How did your parents agree to you playing chess as a career? They supported me very much since the beginning, Daksh. So I started playing when I was 6 years old and I won my national championship when I was 7 years old. And since then, they have been very supportive to my chess career. My parents and also my brother. You should do a new series, all games Kamaski lost to girls in his life. That's a very funny comment. Hello, Angelica. Nice to see you here. So this is white to play, and white is having a very nice attack on the king side. That's why black wants to exchange the queens. We have hydrate by Favelier and ship cheese. Queen g2 and start pushing. So let's say queen f6. We can't play g4 because the bishop will be under attack on f4. Rook b4. Okay, so let me think what is happening after rook b4. I will first exchange the queens and then take this rook with the bishop. Codex so suggests queen h1. So attacking the queen, I will go queen f6. Yes, you found it, guys. You found it. So it's actually simple, tactical idea, but it takes a lot of creativity to find this move, queen h1, and it's actually just two moves: queen h1, Now the queen is under attack here, and you see the queen has only one square, that is f6 to move. If you play queen h5, then g4 traps the queen. If you play queen h5, g4 is just trapping the queen and game is over already. So black played queen f6, and after bishop g5, again the game is over because the queen has nowhere to go. And hg, hg, now queen is attacked and queen h7 is threat of checkmate. And white won this game. This was very nice. Queen h1, this idea. So these moves are very difficult to find when you retreat and then attack at the same time. Because when we think about attack, we always think about going forward. But sometimes such retreats can be very dangerous moves. Okay, I will write this game. I cannot pronounce it. This was the game. Alpha Zero has a game with a weird queen h1. Also, I remember a game between Topalov and Anand in their World Championship match, and the last game, the game 12, which Anand won to win the World Championship title. In that game also, Anand played a very beautiful move, and that was queen e8. So queen was already in the attack, let's say here. The black queen was on e4, and he played queen e8 move, and then went to h5, something like that. You can check out that game. White was Topalov and black was Anand. World Championship match, game 12, and the result was 0-1. Okay, next one. King g1, queen e2, bishop e3, bishop b3, f2, g2, h2, and a4, black king h8, bishop d8, knight c7, pawns on a6, b7, g6, h7, and let's not forget queen on c6. I have to go. Thanks for this training. Thank you, Tom Ketland, for joining, and have a good day. Wasn't there one game of Botvinnik too with queen e8? I don't remember right now. At bishop a7 by Karpov, was it against Unziker? You are right. And that was played in Olympiad of 1974. This is white to play. Do you have Instagram? I have Instagram, but don't call me baby. Bishop c5. So bishop c5 with the idea of some checks on this diagonal. So I will play bishop f6, trying to stop it. Bishop d4, bishop f6, and queen e7. So 1 second, if we play bishop d4, bishop f6, you have to be careful about your own back rank, and black will win this. Bishop d4, bishop f6. I think you mean queen c4, king g7, and queen e7. But one moment, bishop d4, bishop f6, queen c4. I will just try to defend it with knight d5. Bishop b2, very interesting move. So, Opfer suggests bishop d4, bishop f6. Now we are giving check, bishop f6 is only move. And if we play queen c4, knight d5 defense for black, we can't play queen e7 because of back rank threats. And you are absolutely right. White plays the brilliant move bishop b2, defending the back rank like this. And next move, white is threatening to play queen e7 and also queen c4. And here black resigned actually, because there is no way to defend against queen e7 and queen c4. For example, if you take, we take and it's a mate. And if you try to defend with knight e8, white just plays queen e8, and bishop f6 is mate. And white won in after bishop b2. Queen e5. Queen e5, but we also need to consider moves like queen c1 and bishop c1, then bishop e5. Here, if black plays bishop g7, then how about queen e7? Queen e7. Attacking on g7. Black cannot take because there is mate, queen f8. And how to defend this? And if knight e8, there is just queen f8 mate. So there is no defense for queen e7. Knight e6. When do you mean knight e6? Here it's not possible because of bishop f6. And after, you mean after queen e6, knight e6, then we can just take on g7 and then play queen f8 mate. And this is winning. So we can try, but there is no defense for black after bishop b2. Yes, Mr. Sabon. Bishop b2 h6, one moment. h6. If I play queen e7 again, queen e7. If takes, then there is queen f8 and queen g8 mate. If knight e8, again queen f8 check. Oh, queen c1, queen c1. I see your idea, just a moment. Interesting, 1 second. We are missing queen c1. So h6, interesting. So this time I guess we have to play queen c4. Yes, this time we have to play queen c4. Now idea is to take here and to play queen g8. Yes, that was a tricky suggestion. h6. Well done. And if queen c4, then bishop f6. Let's check with stockfish just once after h6. So h6. Yes, queen c4. Queen e7 is a blunder actually, because we give up all the advantage. I'm sorry. Queen c4. And it is almost +5. It is still winning endgame, but this is more... this is big advantage that we have to fight for the win. This book is called as Creative Chess. Okay, next one. This is a closed position. So this is game between Kovacevic and Serevan. Black is Yasser Serevan, played in White and Z in 1980. And black to move. How to continue in this position for black? I hope this series goes on YouTube, because my brain doesn't work well at 7 a.m. Yes, it will go on YouTube. And you are up early, 7 a.m. So don't forget, this is black to play. Posture check by TZ. Okay. And also hydrate. You use PC or laptop, Srikant? It doesn't matter really, does it? Let's just think about positions on the board and think about chess. We have a raid from Fada Master. Thank you so much for the raid. And welcome, raiders. We are doing a middle game series. And hope you had a great stream with Fada Master. Okay, so let's get back to chess. We had some game analysis and blitz games, and now it's good for viewers to enjoy some middle game. Nice to hear that. And thank you once again for the raid. Alright, so this is black to play, and how to continue this position. Hello, chess to go. King d7, yes, those of you who suggested King d7, you are really original players. So Yasir Seravan played King d7 with an excellent move. The king will find himself a safe place on the queen side. So you see this structure, this is very safe for the black king, and white cannot break this pawn structure on the queen side. And now black is threatening to play rook h8, and the queen will support this rook. King d7 double exclamation mark, and a few moves, knight d2, rook h8. Instantly the rook goes to this side, rook g1, and king c7, very safe on the queen side. Rook b1. And they say here that b3, queen h8, black gets a big advantage. Black took the initiative and won the game very soon. Yes, this is very nice. So the king got out of the way, and the rook and queen double on the h file. This is similar to the position. This is similar to the idea between Karpov and Zikr that we saw. The fight was, in that game, the fight was for the a file, and in this game it was about the h file. So the position is closed, and the side which gets this file will get the initiative. And white did not react very well for this idea after king d7. Rook h7. Interesting. I guess black will play queen f8 followed by rook h8. Still trying to continue with the plan. Yeah, even this idea, Codex, as Codex said, I mean rook h7, rook h8, and give up this bishop, and the rook will be trapped on g7. Very pretty. Okay. Next one, king h3, rook h1, rook c1, bishop c4, knight e5, a5, c6, f2, g2, h2, black king f6, rook g4, rook d8, bishop c8, pawns on a6, b4, f4, g7, and h7. So this is game between Portish and Pinter, played in Hungary Championship in 1984. black to play? What is material? Black is an exchange up. Rook g3, we need to calculate more. King h4. g5, then king h5. Iterate by Codec. Cosmic Shine. Thank you for taking care of me. Okay, rook g5, then king h4. Don't forget that even this knight is under attack. Nobody wants to eat this knight, yes? Nobody wants to take it. Rook g5, king h5, then bishop f5. With the idea g6 maybe? We have to consider knight d7 check. Okay, but there is rook d7 also. Is your idea to play g6 and rook h5? I don't know. I can play knight d7 check. Try to bring the rook to e1 with a check. And even after g6, white, we have to consider bishop e2. h5. Interesting. h5, I think knight d7 check. Maybe. King g5. King g5 looks very tempting move. And it is right actually. And as someone said in the chat earlier, this position, they call it as the title as the king as an attacking piece. So somebody said in the chat already. Congratulations. Okay, so first of all, why not take the knight on e5? So if black takes the knight on e5, it's a mistake actually, because white plays a rook he1 check. And now when the king moves, let's say king f6, there is a very beautiful move by white, and that is bishop e6. Look at this brilliancy by white. Bishop e6, now attacking the rook, attacking the bishop, and if black takes this, then white plays rook e6 and converts this into rook endgame and saves the position. So king capture e5 is actually a mistake for black. So king g5 is the start, is the beginning. Now black has two checkmate ideas. One is rook g3 and other is rook h4. White gives check, knight f7, king h5. Now again the threat is to play these checkmates. Bishop e2, pinning this rook. And now look at this line. Look at this line. Rook d3 check. Wow. What about g5 first move? Let's check it after this. You are a very passionate commentator. I love your passion and entertainment you provide. Thank you very much for everything you do to chess community. That's a very nice comment. Thinker teacher, thank you so much for all the positivity. Okay, so let's first check this. Rook d3. Now bishop takes d3, then there is mate again. So what white plays after this? g3. g3 he plays. Again, if bishop f3 is a mistake. If bishop f3, then black just takes and mates rook g3. So he has to play g3. And now again a brilliant move, f3. Again the threat is to play rook h4 mate. And now we are controlling the square. Rook c5 check. Yes, g3 f3, rook c5 check. Rook g5 check. So many checks. Look at this. g4 check to white. G4 checks to black king. Black plays bishop g4 check. King g3, fe2 check. And after this white resigns because next move we can also take this rook. And black won this game. This was very nice continuation. So many checks. Look at this. Let's go from the beginning once again. King g5 check. So this is the threat, rook h4 and rook g3. So white tries desperately to stop this, but no salvation, no refugee. Check, 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 and then this black wins. Okay, let's go in the beginning. And why not knight g4 in the beginning? So this was black to move. And if we play knight g4, bishop g4 is mate. So it can't be played. And somebody suggested g5 first move. But there is knight e4, knight g4. Knight g4 with a check. So there is no time to play h5. That's why. Any other suggestions in the starting position before we move on? Does anybody want to check any line? Tell me now before I move on to next one. Okay, 1 minute. What if rook g3 first move? Rook g3, then king h4. And there is no mate. g5, then king h5. The king tries to run away. And then white has threats of his own. This rook is under attack. Knight d7 is coming. Was g3 instead of bishop e2 better? So, 1 moment. Instead of bishop e2, g3, then rook g3 is a mate. Because there is double check, rook and the bishop. That's why it's a mate. And 1 moment, there is one variation we need to check. In g5, there is one variation with knight f3. We need to check this. So instead of first move after king g5, instead of knight f7, there is knight f3 check. Yes, and here black just plays king h6. With the idea, check, I guess. And g5. Okay, let me see. King h6, rook h d1, rook g3, king h4. Oh, and look at this beauty. Rook f3. And black wins because next move is g5 checkmate. Not just g5. First takes on f3 and then g5. And that is why white resigned. Yes, hammer-headed. This was a good question by you. Don't worry, you can ask as many questions related to chess. Okay, I guess we can move on to next one now. King G1, Queen E7, Rook E2, Knight D6, Pawns A2 B2 C3, F5 G2 H3, Black King G8, Queen D5, Rook F8 Bishop C6, Pawns on A7 B6, C4, F6 G7 and H6. You played really well today in sub battle. Thank you, Rishi. This is white to play. Hydrate by Thinker Teacher. And thank you for all the following. And welcome on my stream. Yes, you are right. I was just trying to remember. I know this is very similar to Short's game, and I was just in my head thinking who was the opponent, but thank you for reminding it was Timon. So those of you who know this game, very famous game, Short versus Timon, this is exactly the same idea in this game. But this game was played before that one. This is played in 1902. Yes, of course, everybody is familiar with the idea. So in that game, Short versus Timon, something similar happened, and White used the king as an attacking piece. So what he did was he just tried to get this king all the way in the attack like that. And this is what White tried to did here as well. So now, first of all, the rook cannot move because there is threat on G2. The rook cannot be moved, and there is no way for White to create more attack. So that is why White played King H2, good move. Excellent move. And they say, why such a modest move be the subject of so much praise and respect? The answer lies in the idea behind the move. White intends to bring his king to G6. He wants to bring his king to G6 and then to finish off with mate with Queen G7. The idea appears not only crazy, but also without a hope of success. But somehow Black experiences difficulty in preventing it. So King H2. First, Black does not know what White is doing and just plays B5. Very innocent of the attack on the king's side. King G3. A5. King H4, and I think only now Black realizes the true intentions of the White king. So here he puts a trap, he plays G6. And now he is stopping king to H5. And also, White cannot take it because Queen G5 is checkmate in one move. And now when the king is moved from G1, there is no more checkmate on G2. So we realize that the rook can finally move now. Rook can move. And he played Rook E3 with the idea to bring the rook to G3. Where is that king going? He wanted to go to G6, but Black stopped it with a pawn to G6. So now Rook E3 is played. Queen G2 and Rook G3 with the idea Rook G6. and followed by mate, Queen F8 or Queen G7. So there is pin, Queen F2. And there is one line also. If black plays G5 here, white just plays King H5. Very aggressive. And after King G6, black cannot stop this mate because the king is in the shelter of black's pawns. There is no check. If you give this, knight just takes it. And there will be mate soon. So G5 is not good for black. Black played Queen F2. Fg6. Now Queen H7 is the threat. Queen check. Rook G4. Not King H5 because Queen E5 exchanges the queens. Rook G4. Queen F2. And after King H5, black resigns because Queen H7 is the threat. And if this check, we can just take on H6 and there are no more checks. And the mate is unstoppable. King G1. Queen A4. Rook A1. Rook E1, Bishop C1. Knight B1, Knight E5. This is black to play. And they ask here, how should black continue? This is about celebrating creativity in chess. So we are looking for beauty in the games. Redeem posture check, okay. This is black to play and they ask what's the best plan for black to continue in this. Hello RP Cordy. d6, then there is knight c6, and black is in trouble because there is fork. Maybe first bishop b7 followed by d6. That looks like something. From which book do you take these positions? The book's name is actually Creative Chess. Let's go root chess. Yes, sheep, cheese. You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So, as he suggested, rook b8 followed by rook b4 and get this rook to the king side. Look at this beautiful idea. And they say the strategy that is revealed here can be nicknamed as the crazy rook. Bishop d6 and sack on h2. Yes, that will be followed after we get this rook on this side. Rook b8 is played in the game. Knight c3. White is unaware of the danger that is going to come. Queen a5. And look at these pieces. Bishop b7, all attacking on the king side. Can't white just stop with c3? I think that would have been better. They say knight d3 is preferable for white to stop rook b4. But I can also think about a3. But still, even if black does not get rook b4, he can always go rook b6 and followed by rook e6 with the rook lift. Yes. So even if he does not get here, he still gets to b6 and on this side. Yes. Now some attack on the king side, so white played f3, trying to block this bishop. Rook h4. So look at this crazy rook. Few moves back it was on a8, not doing anything, and now it's the very important piece. We should call this rook VIP, very important piece. a3 to stop bishop b4. Rook h5 with the idea d6, and we are pinning this. g4. White thinks here that he can trap this rook, because if rook h4 there is bishop g5. If rook h3 there is maybe king g2 is possible. Yes, so looks like the rook is getting trapped. Knight g4. Yes, knight g4. And what is happening? Knight g4, f g4. This was played in the game. Knight g4 double exclamation mark, f g4. Of course, knight can't take it because of this pin. And now again, look at this brilliancy by black. Rook capture h2. Wow. This rook, which was only 7 moves ago on its original square, a8, is now creating havoc in white's camp. So this rook on a8 is now on h2. And they say white does not have adequate defense, as if king captures the rook, if king captures this rook, bishop b4, and now there is mate on h4. So now the queen is under attack, and if he takes the bishop, let's say queen b4 or a b4, doesn't matter, queen h4 check, king g1. Look at this beautiful bishop controlling all the squares, and then king g1. And I think queen g3 is the easiest. Queen g3 check, king f1, and queen g2 mate. And the game is over. And if white does not accept this rook, or plays some move like knight d5, they say white just takes on c2, rook c2, and now, black just takes on c2, and now black keeps the rook, and the threats are already there, like bishop c5 check. Or again, some bishop sacrifice and queen will go to h4. And this is even more dangerous. Or if he plays knight e4, here, knight e4, trying to block this bishop. Bishop c5, double exclamation mark. And next move, queen h4 wins. And they say this is one occasion when it can be said that a lone soldier won the whole battle. I want an on-the-board game like that. We wish and we hope that you have it. Hello Sabrina, hope you enjoyed the stream and have a good day. Wow, this was really brilliant. Even I did not see this coming, rook h2. I did not see this, that after g4 it looks like white is winning by trapping this rook, but just two moves, knight g4 and rook h2, black is winning because of this crazy bishop b4 brilliancy. Okay, let's see next one. So this is a Sicilian defense. Knight d4, c3, bishops on g5, e2, a2, b2, c2, e4, king e8. Oof. Where did my board go? Rook a8, h8, knight c7, f6, bishop c8, f8, pawns on a6, b7, d6, e6, f7, g7, and h7. White to play. So this is a game between Keras. Paul Keras is playing white and Kotov is black, played in 1950 Budapest. And find the best plan for white. So no more endgames. Of course, endgames will be also there. We will study them in endgame series, but today we will start it. Today we started also middle game series, so we will do both simultaneously. Because a lot of people suggested that we also do middle game series. Yes, find the best plan for white. Thank you, Glarbog, for the cheer. 100 beats. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sabrina, for the cheer. So this is typical structure of Sicilian. So I guess many of you get such kind of positions in your own games. This is white to play. And find best plan for white. So if you play Sicilian or if you have learned about Sicilian, you might know that there are many plans for white. One of the common idea is to start pushing on the king side with king h1 or pawn f4. Then bring the other rook and start attacking on the king side. But in this particular position, there is also another original idea for white. Black has the piece up. Just a moment. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We need this bishop. Okay, I'm sorry for that. A4, also interesting idea to stop b5, yes? But many times if black plays b5, we can also take with knight b5. A4, A5, trying to create something on b6. So this is an instructive example, especially those who play the Sicilian defense for either side. So here, interesting idea. I think we're gonna get on king side. Do you play on chess.com? Yes, I do. Why not f4? F4, f5 looks very promising. But let's look at this game. Keros versus Koto. And in this particular position, white played bishop h5, already starting some threats on the king side. So this is a very unusual move and not seen often in this kind of positions. Now the threat is to play knight e6 already. And we are inviting black to play g6 because that might create some weakness of dark squares. So now they have given some options for black. In the game, black played queen c4, but let's see the options. If knight e5, this is a mistake because it will provoke f4. So best is just to take this knight. and then go for f4. You can do it now, or even just king h1 and f4, and white gets a nice position. If black takes this bishop, knight h5, queen h5, again the threat is knight e6, and queen h4. And this is a comfortable position for white, because the d6 is a weakness. If castle, then we have to consider bishop e7, something on d6 like that. Even consider bishop h6. Very comfortable position for white. So let's see the game, what happened. In the game, black played queen c4. And now look how beautiful white continued. White played knight capture e6. Brilliant move by white. Anyway, taking on e6. Queen capture e6. Knight d5. White develops a crushing attack. So now threat is knight c7. If takes, then pawn takes and the e-file will be very dangerous. So black played king d8. Now this is pinned, so we can use this with bishop g4. Queen e5, f4. And now white wins with an easy tactic. So just bishop d7, and this is under attack. Bishop d7, knight f6, and white won. Because gf, bishop f6, and white gets this rook. Very nice idea by white in this setup, and very original also. So many times in the Sicilian system, white is able to sacrifice the piece on e6, and many times also by playing knight d5, like knight d5, if his rook is on e1 and the king is still in the center. There are many sacrificing ideas like knight d5, sometimes there is knight b5. So just remember this idea, bishop h5. This is black to play. Material is equal. The knight is under attack on b4. Yes, everything is correct. Hello, player. Welcome. Why don't you flip the board for the side that's playing? Let's see all the games from white side. I started doing that when I was doing endgames, you know? Because when we were doing endgame series, there was so much confusion. The pawns are going which side. Every time I flipped the board, we were getting confused, like where the pawns are going. So that time I started placing all the positions with white side. So there was no confusion. By the way, as I promised, after 1000 followers, I will be doing a simul. So I don't know how many we have right now, but we will be doing a stream about simul where I will play about 30-35 players, and except those who are there first, I will select first 30-35 players. So if you want to play with me, stay tuned and join the simul. Of course, I will give more details. Bishop a6. So white takes this knight. There is a trick. White has a trick after bishop a6. Bishop a6 looks good to stop castling, but white will take the piece. And do you have the advantage after that? After sacrificing the piece? So white's idea is that bishop a6, then cb4, bishop b4, then knight c3, and after knight c3, if you take this with the knight, I will play a3 and attack this bishop. And if you play bishop a5, b4, trap the bishop. This is black to play. So are you sure you want to go into that? White's knight b3 is stronger. But black is trying to get the piece here. If a3, then knight e4. So we need to calculate knight e4, queen takes bishop, queen c1, king e2. I wouldn't mind giving the piece. But try to calculate after that. Even though it looks like compensation, be sure we are trying to improve our calculation here. So don't just stop thinking right there. Just a minute, I will bring some water for me. Okay, let me see if anybody found it. Let me see one moment. Okay, still nobody has found it. So I guess it's time for me to show it. Hello, BBCS. Okay, let's look at this. Look at this. I'm surprised that nobody found this brilliant idea for black. I was hoping when I come back, it will be there in chat by somebody's suggestion. So let's see. Bishop a6 is right. Trying to stop this castling. Bishop a6 is good move. Now if white does not take the knight, it is better for black. So white has to take it. And now white has a trick here. After bishop b4, he plays knight c3. So now this is pinned, so knight c3. And after knight c3, he plays a3. Very annoying move. Now attacking the bishop, and if the bishop moves to a5, b4 is the threat. And here is the brilliancy by black. Knight b1. Come on, knight b1. Look at this pin. And white takes here. There is checkmate on c1. Wow, knight b1 is the move, guys. And there is no defense after knight b1. Look here. So this is pinned. And White either loses the queen or has to give up, and there is checkmate on c1. So this is the brilliancy. Yes, knight b1, what a move. Only once, rare games when we see such moves. And again, ab4 is not also an option because just knight captures the queen. Instead of knight b1, knight e4. 1 minute. Let us check that. So here, instead of knight b1, knight e4. And just queen takes the bishop. And the rook is defending on c1. King h2, queen g3, rook g1, rook e1, bishop d6, pawns on a2, b2, d4, f2, king h7, queen e6, rook d7, bishop e4, pawns on f6, h5, a7, b7, and there is rook. Yes, it is findable if we are trying to think one move ahead. This is white to play. This is a game between Zinzindashvili versus Brown, played in New York 1984. Okay, so the d6 bishop is under attack. Even though this bishop is pinned, we can't play f3 yet because of this. And black is defending everything so far. And observe that this is opposite color bishops. They can be very tricky. The bishops cannot stop each other, and the attack can be very dangerous in such type of positions. White to play and win. Bishop b8. Excellent move, Tarun. Excellent move. Now the bishop is under attack. And which is the best square for the bishop? It is b8. We are stopping this rook after all. Defending. And now the threat is, first of all, to play rook capture e4. And followed by queen g8. Yes, it will be mate. And if black tries to defend, there is also f3 threat. So bishop b8, excellent move by white. And white is threatening rook e4, queen g8 with a mate. Okay, so the mate is like this, queen e4, rook e4. Okay, let's say I will make a pass. So the threat is rook e4, queen g8 check. Now the rook is not defending. And after king h6, queen h8 check. And if rook h7 or queen h7, queen f6 will be made soon. So this is the idea. In the game, black played queen e8. So black wants to take this bishop. Queen e8. Rook e4. Now black cannot take this, so he played queen capture b8, trying to pin this queen and exchange this queens. And now here, white has a brilliant move. Of course, we will not exchange the queens. And he played, look at this, not rook f4, but rook e5. Again, double exclamation marks. Now the threat is to play rook h5 check. F capture e5, queen g6, king h8, and the mate followed very soon. Queen f6, and white wins. Yes, we are doing a middle game series, but in this book they could not resist putting one endgame puzzle. So let's see that. So this is an exception, and let's do one exception in this middle game series. White to play and win. So they say here, it is well known that a king and a bishop cannot mate the king. Therefore, it would appear that white's chances of success rest all on the pawn on a2. But sometimes there are exceptions. So those of you following my endgame series, come on. Let's do this. I expect you to find the answer to this one. a4. Pawn takes a4. Come on, make me proud. Endgame series, make me proud. One moment. A4, ba, king c7, a3. Yes, you are right. I am Baguio and Tarun. You are absolutely right. So we have to create a mating idea in this position. Yes, Mr. Sabon, well done. So, as everybody suggested, a4 is the move. a4. Now black has to move the pawn. So if he plays b4, it's just that we play king c7 and bishop b5 is checkmate. So he has to take. Again, if b4, king c7, and this is mate. So he has to take it. Or if he plays king b6, we just get the pawn and bishop b5 and win. So a4, b capture a4, king c7, trapping this king. Now the king cannot move, so he has to play a4. Bishop a4 now. Again, don't move the bishop anywhere else because he will play king b5 and run away. So we need to keep this king trapped. Bishop a4. He has only one move, a2. King c6. Look here what is happening. a1 queen and bishop b5. A beautiful checkmate in the end. And white wins. Why they have given one more endgame? What do you say? Shall we see the second endgame or we go and skip and see the middle games after that? They have given two endgames as exceptions. Okay, one more endgame. They have given two endgames as an exception. But this is a difficult one. I'm sorry for this in the middle game series. So those of you who are here for middle games, I'm sorry for these two positions. Okay, king h2, king a5, pawn b2 and pawn d2, rook c3, rook h3. Hello Aryan. This is White to Play and Win. This is a composition by Olimutsky, USSR 1963. So these pawns are going here. I am new in chess, but I really enjoy the puzzles that I can't solve. I like that you enjoy chess so much. Since long time you're not doing late night chess. I did one day before, Aryan. But this is a really crazy puzzle. This is really crazy. We all need to wear thinking caps for this one. Yes, this is white to play and win. So we have to stop these pawns, or we have to let him queen but find a way to win, like mating ideas or trying to win the queens. Hello, Colin. It's calling, okay. Yeah, first move I think everybody agrees is Rook A3 check, but what to do after that? So I will play the first move, Rook A3 and King B4. Now let's think from here. Aryan, you're funny. Yes, Colin, this is just an exception. I know this is an endgame, but I asked everybody if I can make one exception and everybody agreed. Yeah, this is crazy one. So let's just see. This is kind of puzzle you think for days, you know. I remember I used to solve this kind of puzzles for days without sleeping, without eating, just trying to find it. Okay, Rook A B3. Now, black has to go to the C file, King C4. If black goes to the A file, let's say King A4, then white has a beautiful idea. White just plays Rook G3. And doesn't matter, black wins. He just starts giving checks. King B5, Rook G5, leading to mate or winning of the queen. So he has to go to the C file here. King C4. King C4. Rook H3 check. King d4, rook d3 check. Now it looks like the rooks are defending both the pawns. But black plays king c4 and suddenly we don't know what to do anymore. Because if we take, he takes the other rook. If we take this, he takes the other rook. If we play the king, he just promotes one of the pawns and takes and then helps and promotes this side. White has managed to place his rooks on the b and d files to prevent the pawns from promoting, but how should he continue from here? Look at this position. This looks so tricky. Take one pawn and give a check from the opposite side to win the queen. Yes, it will be draw. This is win for white. This looks like a zugzwang, some kind of zugzwang. So we have to give some check again. This looks such a funny position. Of course, we can't move the king because promotes one of these pawns. So white gives check. Rook check. King b4. And you are going to see very crazy position now. Very tough move, and that is Rook C7. Rook C7. Because we need to control the H7. You will see now what happens. Rook C7. Black wins here. And now rook b7 is not useful much because he plays king c4 and attacks this rook. And even if we get the queen, he takes this rook and makes the draw. So white plays this brilliant move rook d8, threatening check and mate. And you see now why rook c7 was important. We are holding this check and black has no check in this position. Rook d8, crazy move. d1 queen, so white lets black queen the second time. Rook b8 check. So king here or here is just mate, so he goes to a3 and now rook a7 check. So queen a4, then he takes this queen with a check and then he takes the other queen and wins. Wow. This is not a game, this is a composition. Composition by Olimotsky, USSR 1963. So if you want to remember or save this position, this was the start. This was the start. Give this position to someone you know and make them crazy for days. If you want to disturb somebody's sleep, give them this position and then have fun. Okay, I hope you have, those of you who wanted to note this position, this is it, and I will change this now. Now we are back to middle games. One second. This is the composer name for this position. Now we are back to middle games. King h1, Queen e1, Rook b3, b6 d5, g2 h2, Black King g7, Rook a8, Knight f5, Queen d4, pawns on d6, e5, and g6. This is black to play, and this is a game between Karpov, white is Anatoly Karpov, and black is Taimanov, played in Leningrad, 1977. You know this, yes? Another famous game by Karpov. But this time he is white, so on the unfortunate side. No, it's not endgame, we are back to middle games now. Hydrate by Ashmak. Black to play. So we should in fact say good game by Taimanov. You showed just today to my students. Wow. Codex, so yes, you are absolutely right. If you solved it just now, that was very fast. So, white appears to have a promising position in that he has an extra passed pawn on the b file. So white is having a promising game with these threats here. However, white's last move, he played b5, b6, allowed black a beautiful combination. So black here played Rook a1. Now white has to play Rook b1 to stop this, and it still looks like white is defending. If he plays any other move, for example, if he plays Queen e2, let's say just move the queen. Black plays Queen d5 followed by Knight d4. So in the game was played Rook b1, and now here is the brilliancy, Knight g3 check. So the king cannot move. If queen captures, the knight rook captures b1. So white played h capture g3. And now black just simply goes to a8, and with this beautiful mate on h8, and white resigns. There is no way to defend from this checkmate. So before this was not possible because the g3 square was controlled by both the rook and the queen. So it was not possible. We forced him to move the rook, and now the queen is overloaded. And after h g3, Rook a8 with a beautiful win for black. queen d1, rook a1, f1, bishop c4, knight d5, knight f4, pawns a to b to a to b to c2, d3, e4, g2, h2, king on g8, queen d8, rook f8, rook a8, bishop c8, knight on c6, h7, pawns here, d6, c7, b7, b6. White to play. Hello, Calist. Welcome. Hello, Carlos. Greeting to you from India. Will you start late night chess today? No, I will not do late night chess today. Maybe tomorrow. Or maybe I can do it. Let's see. Knight g6. Black plays rook e8. Yes, everybody is suggesting knight g6. It's a good move actually. Knight g6. So knight g6 is played in the game. Now black played rook e8. So if you take this knight, if black takes this knight, white plays knight e7 with a double check, and after king h8, knight g6 is a mate. That's why this knight cannot be accepted. Rook e8 is played. Rook f7, yes, go for the attack. Rook f7, another sacrifice. At the cost of a whole rook, white has destroyed the black king's defenses. King capture f7. Now very important to continue this after sacrifice. To be precise. Knight f5? You mean knight f6 or knight f4? Knight d7? What if bishop e6? Knight f4. Knight f4, I understand. Knight f4. So again, I think black has to play bishop e6 and give up the rook. Queen h5. I like this move. Queen h5. Go, go, go. The death blow comes from an unexpected direction. Now here, the king cannot run. If you go king g8, knight e7 is checkmate. So in the game, black played bishop e6, trying to at least stop one side. And now this is stopped, so we open this diagonal now. Knight e7 check. King f8. Bring the last piece in the attack. Rook f1, knight f6. Look at this beauty. Rook f6 takes, queen h6, king f7, and queen not here. I'm sorry, queen f6 is made. And the game is over. What book are these from? These are from a book called Creative Chess. Okay, so this will be last one for today. Just a sec. Okay, last one for today. King G1, Queen H6, Rook D1, Bishop B1, Bishop F8, and pawns on A2, B2, C3, G2, H3, Black King, G8, Queen E5, Rook B7, Bishop C6, Bishop E1, pawns on A7, C5, E7, F7, G6, and white to play. I think I saw many of these puzzles in City Art. I know, even I used to solve that City Art puzzles. Before, many years ago, it was not so easy to find tactics online. Now all the websites have tactics, like Lead Chess, Chess.com, everybody, they have tactics section. But before that, only way to do it was to use softwares. And CT Art was a tactics software, which even I used a lot. Bishop G7, Queen G7, and Rook D8 looks winning. So we need to calculate after Bishop G7. Bishop G7, we need to calculate Bishop F2. Good move for black. So black here is threatening to play Bishop F2, followed by Rook B2. Why not rook d8 first move? Rook d8. Also bishop f2. So for both the moves, rook d8 or bishop g7, black wants to play bishop f2. Bishop f2, king f2, then he will play rook capture b2. Bishop g7, bishop f2, king f2, rook b2, king f1, bishop g2, king g1, queen b8, bishop e5. Just a moment. But he, instead of bishop g2, I think he also has bishop b5 check after king f1. But then king g1, let me think. So Codex suggests bishop g1, bishop g7 first move with the idea rook d8. So black's defense is bishop f2, and after king f2, rook b2, he says king f1. But okay, there is just queen e2 and queen g2 mate. Yes, very tricky position. Alright, let's see. So white has two options to think about, bishop g7 or rook d8. And they say bishop g7 is better because we need this rook in the defense on the king side. I mean this first rank. Bishop g7 is played, double exclamation mark. Not only does he block the mating square g7, but he is willing to sacrifice his rook as well. Black played bishop f2, which is like the only move for black. And now white does not take this bishop. White plays king f1. Because king f2 is losing for white. King f2 after rook b2, white is losing. Because king here, then queen e2. If king g1, then rook g2 would be made very soon. So white plays king f1. Bishop b5 check. If he plays bishop g2 here instead of bishop b5, if he plays bishop g2 with the idea queen g3 check, and something like this, we take this bishop king f2. And after rook b2, king g1, there is no check. And it is winning advantage for white. So that is why in the game black played bishop b5. King f2, queen e2 check. King tries to run, king g3. And now this was the threat, so black just takes this queen capture d1. And here white just plays bishop h8 double exclamation mark with the idea queen g7 mate, and if king h8 there is queen f8 mate. And if black gives check after king f2, there is no check on white and black has to resign this. So look at this move, bishop h8, wow, with checkmate on g7, and takes then queen f8. Yes. Alright, so it is time for us to stop right now. Thank you everybody for joining. And as you know, I will be continuing with both these series, middle game series and end game series. So time for us to take a break, and I will rest and eat my dinner. Are you streaming tonight? I have not decided so far. We also need opening series, yes? I will think about it. Live for Chess, you just logged in. Nice to see you. And we started from today middle game series also. And with this very beautiful idea, it's called Creative Chess. And we are looking at positions and games which have original and out of the box ideas. Like you saw this one, last one, Bishop H8. So we were looking at such games. Thank you so much for all your support and appreciation. And it's great to have you. So let's make a raid. Do you have any suggestions for raid? Not Kamsky. I see that he is streaming. Shall we do it or not? Okay, let's raid and have fun. Let's see. It's fun because yesterday we were playing sub battle against him. So let's do it. Alright, see you next time and stay safe and take care.